In this video, we're going to understand what MGTOW really is, where it came from, and what it is not about in 6 key points. First, let's take a deep dive into MGTOW and understand what it is and what it stands for. It's a developing ideology. It is a social movement and ideology that promotes men distancing themselves from relationships and society, particularly with respect to marriage and traditional gender roles. MGTOW advocates argue that men are disadvantaged by societal expectations and legal systems, and that they should focus on their own personal growth and goals rather than seeking relationships or traditional forms of success such as marriage and family. The MGTOW ideology has a presence on the internet and has attracted criticism for promoting anti-feminist and misogynistic views. It does not represent all men. It is important to note that the views and beliefs of MGTOW do not represent the views of all men, and that many men reject the ideology and strive to build fulfilling relationships and contribute to society in meaningful ways. It is primarily an online collective thought, with a presence on forums, blogs, and social media platforms. It has attracted a following among some men who feel disillusioned with traditional gender roles and relationships, and who believe that society is biased against men. Some members of MGTOW often argue that women are manipulative, untrustworthy, and only interested in men for their money and resources. It's not about men harboring resentment toward women. It concerns the fact that women are granted legal authority over men. They have the ability to accuse people of crimes, and they will do so. The objective of MGTOW is not to alter women and force them to act in a particular manner. It is about accepting and comprehending the nature of women. It is about embracing the regulations governing the risks of romantic connections with women and knowing how Western governments operate. Men follow their own paths once they have a knowledge of those two things. Each man decides how to minimize risk. No love, no hate, no apathy, no cohabitation, no marriage, no becoming pregnant, and only transient connections are how MGTOW men want to live. However, MGTOW is steadily growing. And contrary to popular belief, it is not made up only of guys who despise women. There are times when a man has to be by himself, concentrate solely on himself, and organize his finances without interruption. A man will do these things at this point: eat well, exercise, save money, make investments, and just learn to rely on himself. Men should then switch from MGTOW to Red Pill after that. Red Pill just acknowledges the unfairness of marriage and the bias of family courts in favor of women because, let's face it, approximately 80% of the time, it's the guy who loses custody, has to pay alimony, and pays child support for a child he happily spends more than 4 days a month with. Women complain that everything is unequal, although they enjoy all the benefits that men do not. In this society, women can sell their bodies, be attractive, and make money and income without even lifting a finger, but men must work themselves to death. Women have the luxury of selecting whoever they want based on appearance and social standing, and males are forbidden from critiquing women for their own shortcomings because that's discriminatory. Men are worn out because they've been told by their mothers that being a great man can only result in you finding the woman you want, but this is untrue. Women can treat men badly and say and do offensive things without any repercussions. It's not related to being turned down by women. MGTOW is unrelated to guys getting turned down by women. MGTOW is about guys who have had several relationships with women and have discovered from first-hand experience that they have very little legal protection in regards to women. Men are now recognizing that the majority of women no longer contribute anything worthwhile to romantic relationships. Men are able to afford companionship. A man with a few dollars in his pocket will have women lining up for him. Financially and emotionally, paying for companionship is far less expensive than being in a committed partnership. Men are also witnessing the chaos their lives become when their partners drag them into a divorce proceeding. In divorce court, a woman merely needs to be a woman, and most of the time she walks away with practically everything. Men take years to financially recover from the divorce rape. A 50-year-old man getting divorced might never financially recover. There is nothing that a man cannot obtain by remaining unmarried that marriage cannot provide. You can hire a woman to clean, do laundry, cook, shop, and even just hang around if you have even a part-time work. It's not an organization. It is not a trend for guys to only date women. In MGTOW, guys go on a brief tactical retreat where they learn how to re-enter the dating world on their own terms. The problem of censorship is at its core, from its inception to its final political and social expression. MGTOW was founded by males whose opinions were being suppressed online by other men in an effort to avoid offending female participants. Their comment threads frequently had subtext that suggested they were also subject to institutional oppression and suffering from it. These men had access to the internet, which allowed them to design their own chat rooms, blogs, and comment threads where they could freely discuss various topics. As such, MGTOW is not an organization. It's more of an online repository, yet it's not about men being misogynistic. Men rejecting the hassle and stress associated with the traditional roles and expectations placed on them by society, meaning settling down with a woman, getting married, raising a family, in favor of investing their time, money, and resources in bettering themselves and their lives is at the heart of the men going their own way ideology, which is fundamentally not about misogyny. Like any ideology, there will be people with moderate ideas and deeds and those with more extreme ones. The problem is that the loudest voices in any movement are usually those of its more extremist members, and as a result, their opinions frequently outweigh those of its more moderate members. These more extreme viewpoints frequently stem from feelings of rage, bitterness, and resentment. Many males have been dragged through the mud through divorce proceedings and, if they have children, in the family courts, both of which overwhelmingly favor women. This justifies a major part of these cases. The fact that there is frequently no assurance that dads who have gone through the family courts will ever see their children again is a further aggravating factor. The significance of this is that it is the more radical viewpoints that are heard the most and hence become identified with. However, why is MGTOW gaining such traction in Western culture? The answer is very simple. Men are exhausted, and that's really all there is to it. They are sick of being expected to give all while receiving little to nothing in return. They are sick of hypocrisy and double standards that condemn males for actions that are completely fine when committed by women. They are sick of feeling pressured into playing the conventional role of a guy, one of a provider, in a society that no longer values them for it but still expects them to. Men are frequently subjected to harsh treatment in the family and divorce courts, while women file for divorce the vast majority of the time. Men realize that moving in with a woman, getting married, and having kids just aren't worth the danger of losing the majority of their income and assets if it all goes wrong after seeing what has happened to previous men. They decide that the squeeze simply isn't worth the juice. Perhaps the movement would be less well-liked if Western society offered greater credit to men for their responsibilities as providers, better representation, and more equitable outcomes in family and divorce courts. However, it will only continue to expand while this is happening. No one wants to hear the male side of the story. Women frequently employ passive hostile tactics, such as "who injured you" or "not all women are like that" talk, to make you feel worse about yourself as a guy because they are well aware of your motivations for being offended. Women were adept players. Men are quitting the dating scene because they realize there are no advantages to talking to women besides engaging in intimacy. Unless you're a guy who plays women like a game and women chew it all up, there are no connections and no honesty. All in all, men going their own way has a lot of time to mature in the hearts and minds of people, women, and society. Like any new thought or ideology, it is slowly but steadily developing and growing across the world in online forums, conversations in coffee shops, television talk shows, books, academia, and in the minds of young men. So, remember these 6 key points. This is what MGTOW is about and what it's not. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more great content.